Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming a review of Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory. This one was actually released on the 7th of July, so quite a while ago. Quite a while, like 2 months ago. But you get the point. The reason I am filming a full review of this is because I ended up getting the audiobook for free from netgalley, because netgalley has audiobooks now. Yay! And I wasn't planning to film a full review of this, but then I thought, why not? So now we are here. I had actually pre-ordered this long before it was even out, but my copy still hasn't arrived as I'm filming this. So like I have a physical copy, but it isn't here yet. It's a bit funny because I was planning to read this for God I Think for summer, which is my seasonal reading challenge, and I was planning to read a physical copy, but since it never arrived, I would have kind of failed it unless it arrives like next week, which was okay then that I got an audiobook, because then I managed to read it before the summer was over. Yay, yay, yay. So I wasn't planning to listen to an audiobook, but then I got it, so I was like, okay. I read Wild Girls by the same author last year, and I really liked it, but I'm gonna not compare the books, but I'm gonna compare my feelings of the books a bit later in this video. So, Burn Our Bodies Down follows Margot, and Margot lives in a small town with her mother, and it's always been just the two of them. They kind of have a really, I would say, not a healthy mother-daughter relationship. She keeps mentioning and saying examples how the conversations go. It's really manipulative. We really like, Margaret is upset, for example, that she didn't buy in food and she's gonna make something, and the mom is really angry at her for just mentioning that she forgot to, for example, buy a certain thing in the store. And she kind of manipulates Margaret in a way that, like, if Margaret wants to say her opinion on something, she kind of turns it always the conversation around, so Margaret feels shitty that she even mentioned this. So they don't have a good dynamic at all, and Margaret always wanted more a proper family because it feels like her mother never really wanted her, but she doesn't know anything about her mother's family, like where she comes from or anything, until she one day finds a photo and an address in another small town called Faes, and she goes over there and meets her grandmother, and that's where the story, I was gonna say blossoms, which it's a weird word, but okay. But this is a thriller mystery, so it's a kind of book that you can't say more than that, because then you would ruin the story. Obviously, I'm not going to say more about the details of the plot, at least. I realized that when I was talking about the synopsis, I went in a bit in the characters as well, like Margaret's and her mother's relationship. They had a interesting, not just interesting, but damaging dynamics, and then we see Margaret meeting her grandmother, and she wants this mother figure, but does she get it in her grandmother? Who knows? Margaret is also a lesbian, but this is by no means a story focused on romance at all, but she's still a lesbian on page, and that is still, I was gonna say counts, of course. A story with a lesbian doesn't need to focus on them being a lesbian, obviously. Our last book, Wild Girls, had an effort romance in it as well, so yeah, just mentioning it. I don't know what's up with like small town stories, but in like every single thriller or mystery, whatever we have, there's always a small town, at least in like stories set in, I was gonna say, America, and I don't get it. I think it's really funny because I live in Norway. We don't have small towns because literally every single city would be seen as small in like compared to all other cities in the world, because Norway is so fucking tiny. And I just think it's funny. If we were gonna have a small town in Norway, we would not need to go out on the country, which is really easy because literally anything that's not city is country. And it would be like this little, I wouldn't even call it a village. It would be like this little place where like a few hundred people live. And I know that's, I guess, a small town, but I just like the image in my head of a small town is not the image in the head that I think Americans has of a small town, because I literally just imagine a place with like cows and shit, and just like a lot of land, because like there's just a few houses there. I've seen movies, things from small towns and how like that is interpreted, but I just think it's funny that every single story is set there. And it's not like I hate it, it's just like a trope that I don't get why it's always a trope, and I just think it's funny. What I thought was really interesting, and one of the third things that happens when Margaret comes to, what was the name of the town? Faes, was that she's a Nielsen, and everyone knew what a Nielsen was, and she's like, what? And they're all like, oh, you're a Nielsen. And I just thought that was funny, because I always think it's funny when a name has such much power in a certain place and then the character doesn't know it. I like that trope, I guess. Is that even a trope? Can we call it that? Oh, when they have a name but they don't know how much power that name has trope. I don't think that works. I love the writing. I love the writing in Violet Girls as well. It's very atmospheric, very direct. I don't know what to tell you, like, I really enjoy the writing. So we get to this small town, and I'm not gonna, of course, spoil it, as I just said. I keep like repeating myself, and it's very interesting. We have a mystery, right? It's very interesting. We're like, what's going on, what really happened, etc. And then when we get the solution, it becomes weird. I don't know what other word to describe it, because Violet Girls was weird. That was a really strange book, and I really enjoyed that. But that was weird from the beginning. We start out with this virus in Violet Girls, and it's already weird. Like, everything that's happening there is weird and doesn't make sense, kinda, because it's just atmosphere of the whole book. But this one, we start in a very contemporary mystery, kinda. So we think it's kind of like a contemporary mystery, because that's the thing we're introduced to, but then it turns into being this something more. That's all I'm gonna say, and then it becomes weird. It's just those two, I think that the reader should know, but of course that's the part of a mystery. But I just feel disjointed from the beginning to the end. But I really like the mystery, how it opened up, and I didn't know what was going on. But the resolution of the mystery for me was just a bit like weird. It wasn't completely my vibe, I guess. It just doesn't feel right with me, but other people might enjoy it a lot, that kind of story. Since it was an audiobook arc, I feel like I should talk a bit about the audiobook. I don't really know how to review an audiobook, because I never really done it before. Like, of course I mentioned, oh, I listened to this on audiobook, but I don't talk that much about the narrator. What? I randomly checked Audible for the audiobook, because I was gonna double check the name of the narrator. And it's not out there yet. It's not out on Audible yet, but it seems to be like the normal audiobook, like if you buy, I don't even know, how do people buy audiobooks if they don't buy it on Audible? Okay, so you can buy the CD audio, but on Audible it is not available until January for some reason next year. I was gonna check the name of the narrator, but I couldn't find it right now. Good research done beforehand. Either way, I really like the narrator. They had a very nice voice. It was very emotional when Margaret was emotional. It followed her really thoroughly. I liked the voices for the different characters. I thought it was a good narrator. I don't know what more to tell you. I thought it was a good audiobook. I have considered listening to the audiobook of Violet Girls to reread it, for example. I keep comparing these two books. I can't stop. I'm sorry. I think, as I said, it was a good audiobook. I have nothing to say if you want to pick up the audiobook instead of reading it physically. It does give a certain atmosphere listening to a horror story than like actually reading it with your eyes, I think, because like when you were a kid, you were always told ghost stories. I mean, not always. Oh my god, my mom is outside. Why are you outside? This is ruining everything. Either way, so it does give like a different vibe, I think, being told a ghost story, not that this is a ghost story, but you got the point, than actually reading it. But both are good. I just think the audiobook was really good, and I would definitely recommend listening to it if you like audiobooks. I think my main issue with this is that we think we are in a certain story, and then it kind of shifts a bit, and I didn't vibe with that shift that much, but I don't think this would bother everyone. I just thought that, of course, a mystery is always a bit weird because it's a mystery and you don't know everything that's going on because it's supposed to be revealed to you. But in this one, I just didn't vibe with how and what and why behind everything. It's not like I hated it and I didn't think it was good or like it was bad or anything. I just was a bit like, oh, this is very strange. And if it had been strange from the beginning, I think like I would have felt more on board with it. But I didn't hate the book or anything. I really enjoyed it, and I was very intrigued to see where it would go. So if you like YA contemporary thriller mystery, I would definitely recommend this for you. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Just to compare again to Violet Girls, like I enjoyed that much more because it was like super weird and it was really different from any other book that I had read like in general in that genre and stuff, because it was just a totally different vibe for me. And I gave that like almost 5 stars, and it's one of my favorite books that I need to talk more about on my channel, and I want to reread it a lot. That one was like also like a mystery thing, but like with like a disease, and it was very different. But I definitely like the vibe in general from Rory Power in her books, just like her mysteries and how they are a bit strange. And I will read upcoming books by her. So that's my plans. So what I like, for example, in a mystery is that after you read it, you keep thinking about it, because you want to like, you want your brain to process it a lot. And after I read Violet Girls, I thought about it so much, and I actually liked it more and more as much as I thought about it after reading it. But this one, I don't get that same pull to it. So I don't know, it's just a feeling that I like this less, but I keep comparing them because it's by the same author and it's the 2 books that she has published. But like, I enjoy them both. I keep comparing them, I guess, because if you're interested in this, I assume you're heard or read Violet Girls, so that is why I think. But just like, if you haven't, just ignore everything I said about Violet Girls, but definitely read that one too. If you like this genre, mystery, if you want more in it, and if you want to go to a place where it's mysteries and a girl trying to find a family, then definitely check this out. I'm gonna stop talking now. And again, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars, solid. It's just the end that was a bit off for me. Can I review books? No. Am I still doing it? Yes. You will see me soon in a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Even though I got the audiobook and I don't know what to say about the audiobook, I'm doing a great job here. Bye!